My name's Amy McLaughlin. I'm in the Health and Wellness Division at OSSI. I'll be your point of contact this year for the 2017 Health and PE Assessment. Welcome, and thank you for joining me in this informational webinar about the assessment. So today, we will walk through the process and the steps for administering the Health and PE Assessment, as well as the timelines. I'll walk through your roles and responsibilities as the LEA Health Assessment Coordinator and walk through the platform Survey Gizmo with you. After this webinar, we'll send out a bit of additional guidance regarding the use of CLIC, which we'll talk about briefly here and provide a bit more guidance, as I said, after this webinar before the assessment window begins. So for introduction, this is not news to you, but the District of Columbia Healthy Schools Act of 2010 requires OSSI to collect and report student performance on DC Health and PE standards. To comply with this requirement, district students are tested annually in 5th grade, 8th grade, and high school. At the high school level, we run the assessment for students who are enrolled in a health class for this school year. This is the assessment blueprint. You may have seen this before. It's been available on the OSSI website since the fall. It was shared out with our LEA level health assessment contacts in the fall as well. You're seeing grade 5 here, but the blueprint's the same for grades 8 and high school. Within each of these seven categories listed here, which correspond to the health and PE standards, Survey Gizmo, the platform, the online platform, will randomly select 3 questions within each category. So that makes a total of 21 questions. We've made a few changes and improvements to the assessment this year. If you were able to attend the Next Generation Assessment meeting back in January, you may have seen this slide already. Since that meeting, there's been one small update, so pay attention to this part. So we've made some changes and improvements in these 3 categories. First, as we prepare for the assessment. Last year, we gave schools the option to create their own assessments on sort of a test run basis. This year, everyone will be taking a common assessment across all LEAs, so there's not the option to create your own. That's a change this year. Also this year, we will provide printable student tickets. So each LEA, just like last year, will receive an Excel file, but also what's new this year is you'll get a PDF. So 1 file per school, so it's easier for you to just print out those test tickets or test IDs before the assessment day. So the tickets will be used by students to log in to the Survey Gizmo platform on the day of the administration. So this year you'll need to print that out. There's 4 tickets per page, so this can be cut out into tickets and distributed to schools. The last thing in this category, in a previous email and also at the NGA presentation in January, we mentioned that we'll use the OST this year for document upload back and forth between OSSI and LEAs. Please disregard that guidance. We're actually going to use upload.dc.gov, which is the platform we used last year as well. And that provides us a secure way to transfer student information back and forth. Second category of changes for this year relates to the administering of the assessment. What's different this year is that OSSI will not be providing a paper and pencil assessment. So for students who need larger font sizes, the assessment interface within your internet browser can be expanded. So the proctor on the day of the assessment can assist the student by holding down on the keyboard, the control button and the plus button. You may have done this on your personal computer before too. Control and plus and hold that down so that the font expands to a readable size. Second change, as the proctor is setting up students on their computer, they'll assist the student in entering the assessment ID code that's listed on the ticket. I know some feedback we got last year was that those codes are really long and cumbersome. Unfortunately, they're going to be pretty long again this year. It's needed in order to make the IDs unique per student. So the proctor will help the student enter the ID, and then once that's done on the Survey Gizmo platform on the computer, you'll be able to confirm the student's name. And that just makes it a little easier to make sure you didn't mistype that number. OSSI will also provide this year a platform for LEAs to monitor completion rates throughout the assessment window. And we'll use CLIC, which is a data visualization tool for you to do that. and I'll give a little bit more information about that later in this webinar. And this also relates to reviewing assessment results. So we're going to use Click to share out assessment results with you. And Click will allow you to analyze and filter your data as needed, and will also allow us to get the data to you much faster this year. And again, we'll have a bit more guidance coming on the use of Click between now and when the assessment window opens on April 3rd. So our hope with these changes is that they'll make the assessment process smoother and less cumbersome for you and for schools, and make the data more quickly and easily available to you. So before I dive into the assessment platform, Survey Gizmo, I'll walk you through some important dates and your responsibilities as well as the school's responsibilities. The assessment window is April 3rd through June 16th. Within that window, at the LEA level, you can decide what window makes sense for you. As we've noted in an email that you should have received this week, notify us of the start and end date that you're planning for your LEA by March 15th. And you can send an email to School Health, OSSE.schoolhealth. A bit about the roles of the LEA level health coordinator, health assessment coordinator, and timeline here. So really, as the health assessment coordinator for the LEA, you're the liaison between OSSE and the health assessment proctors within the schools. So again, within the administration window, you're tasked with setting internal deadlines for your LEA, setting a start and end date to your assessment window, distributing information from OSSE to schools, collecting information from schools to share back, regularly monitoring completion rates through Click, and following up with schools to ensure 100% completion. So this week you received an email, hopefully, pointing you to a few resources on the OSSE website. If you didn't receive this email, send a note to OSSE.schoolhealth, and we'll make sure we have your contact information on file and be sure to include you in future correspondence. So these files that are available through the website will guide you and the school-based health assessment proctors throughout this process. So one was the LEA guide for your reference. Two was the Proctor guide for school-based proctors. Distribute this sooner rather than later because it contains a checklist of tasks that will help prior to the assessment, as well as a script and a guide to use on the day of the assessment. And the files I'm mentioning now, I dragged and uploaded to this webinar as well. So if you're viewing this webinar live, you can access them through the GoToWebinar interface right now. The other things that are available to you through the website are sexual health exemption letters. Those are available in English and 5 other translations, and those are also listed on the OSSE website on the resources page. And the last 2 things were a template for collecting information. So one is a template for collecting high school rosters. Again, we need to know the high school students within your LEA who are enrolled in a health class this school year. The last thing is a template for collecting accommodations needs. So those templates are available on the site as well as in this webinar. So as I mentioned, go ahead and begin distributing the Proctor guide and exemption letters to your school, to the school-based assessment proctors soon, and you can do it based on the timing of your assessment administration. But by March 15th, we'll need those high school rosters, accommodations, and your planned start and end date. A note about the sexual health exemption letter. So school-based assessment points of contact will be asked to distribute and collect the exemption letters from students and students' guardians, and to keep a list of students whose parents return those letters and want to exempt students from the sexual health questions. That list will be used on the day of the assessment to determine which students are exempt from sexual health questions and which are not. And the status is going to be selected within the Survey Gizmo platform by the proctor that day. It will be preset. So that list is important to keep track of and have available on the day of the assessment. You'll notice circled in red here, this is the language from the letter itself in the very last paragraph. The date is left highlighted within the letter that we gave you, and it's in Word format so that you can update it based on a date that makes sense, a due date, a deadline that makes sense for your LEA and your timeline. By Friday, the 24th, the test tickets will be available to you through upload.dc.gov. The tickets will contain the LEA name, the school name, student name, and then the test login ID that will be used to log into the Survey Gizmo assessment. To create those test tickets, OSSI will take a snapshot of 5th and 8th grade students from SLED on March 10th. And then by March 15th, we'll receive from you a roster of high school students who are enrolled in a health class and therefore will take the assessment. And we'll take all of that student data, create the test tickets for you, and turn those around by the 24th for you to distribute to schools. All right, so this is an overview of the Proctor responsibilities. It's also laid out in the Proctor guide. So proctors should test the assessment link on the school computers that are going to be used for the assessment in advance of the testing day and verify that Survey Gizmo is not blocked by the school's network. This is, again, noted in the Proctor guide, but Survey Gizmo is compatible with the latest versions of Chrome, Firefox, and Internet Explorer, version 10 and above for Internet Explorer. So within schools, proctors can work with their IT support team to resolve any issues, but if they're unable to, they can contact the OSSI Help Desk for additional assistance. And I'll give that information, contact info, at the end of this webinar. School-based proctors should also cross-check assessment IDs that you get from us against student rosters to just ensure that all students have been given IDs. If any students have moved schools or started as new students between March 10th, when we take the snapshot, and the start of your assessment, just reach out to ossi.schoolhealth and let us know. The proctors will also work with you, the LEA assessment coordinator, to upload a list of student accommodations, which has been mentioned already, to the secure upload site by the 15th. Make sure not to email this list of accommodations back and forth in order to protect student privacy and confidentiality. Next, I'll lead you through some of the tools that are going to be used for planning or for administering the assessment. Upload.dc.gov, click, and Survey Gizmo. First, upload.dc.gov. You've likely used this before. There will be a health and physical education assessments folder within each LEA's upload folder. So if you don't already have access to this, by Tuesday, a notification will go out to you giving you access. New users will be notified by email on Tuesday that they've been added. If you're an existing user and already have access to the Health and PE assessment folder on Upload, then you won't get a notification from us because you already have access to it. So we'll use, again, upload.dc.gov. OSSI will give you the assessment tickets. You will give OSSI the high school rosters and outline of student accommodations. The next tool is Click. Click is a tool that's new for the health assessment this year, but you might be already familiar with it from other projects you've worked on with OSSI. The data manager at each LEA has access to Click already, and will grant them access to the health assessment data as well. We'll not be able to grant new users access to Click, so we ask that you coordinate with the data manager at your school, or at your LEA, that is, to get information you need from Click. So prior to the April 3rd assessment window start date, we'll provide a quick training webinar for Click based specifically on how to navigate the data for the assessment. So stay tuned for more information on that via email from ossi.schoolhealth. Technical support. The first source for answers to any questions that might come up is the LEA guide. But beyond that, if any help's needed, there's kind of two different veins in which to think about this. One is systems support. So for that, call our call center or email at that address. So for example, if you're not able to access Survey Gizmo on your school computers, need help with Click, need help with the upload site, that's where to who to contact for that. For programmatic support, so more questions about the timeline or the assessment itself, or just general guidance around that, you can email me at osce.schoolhealth@dc.gov. The assessment platform, again, this is not a change for this year. The same platform that was used in last year's health assessment. So the link that's provided here will route you to the 2017 Health and PE assessment, and it's supported again in all browsers and all screen resolutions. We recommend using the latest of Chrome, Firefox, and Internet Explorer. And there's a couple more notes that we can share with you, or that are available in the guide for accessing it. The first page is a login screen. So to log in a student into the Survey Gizmo platform, the proctor will need to enter the assessment ID that's on the ticket. If a parent has requested exemption from sexual health assessments, this is the screen you see where you'll select student has been opted out or not. This is important for the proctor to verify before clicking next. And once this has been selected and you click next beyond this page, you're unable to go back and make changes here. So make sure this is correct before moving forward. Actually, I take that back. I apologize. Once you're on this page and click next from this page where you verify the student's information, once you've navigated beyond this, that's when you can't come back and change. But at this point, once you've reached this page here, if you realize or you want to go back and check and make sure the right thing was selected for sexual health questions, you still can. So then you'll come here, you'll verify the student's information, and if everything looks good, move forward. Again, this is the point beyond which you can't come back. So after completing all the questions, students will see this page, which says you've finished all the questions, you're good to go. You're welcome to go back, navigate backward, double check answers using the back and forward buttons, and then after students feel sure about their answers, they can come back to this page and click submit. And that's what, once that happens, you'll see a 100% completion status at the status bar along the bottom. So that brings me to the end of the webinar. At this point, I'm happy to answer any questions, and you can submit your questions through the dialog box within GoToWebinar. We'll pause for a moment here and open it up for questions. Okay, the first question was to share the website URL, and I can do that with you momentarily. I'll go back to that slide. Noting here that someone hasn't received materials as of yet, make sure if you've not received this email from osce.schoolhealth that you send us a note at osce.schoolhealth@dc.gov. Happy to re-forward you that email. The next question is, do we need to include non-public students in the assessment, or for a charter school that has several students placed in non-public institutions? If you can follow up with me on that in an email, give me a couple more details and let me look into the answer for that. I think I'll be better able to answer that offline. Okay, the next question is about the accommodations template. So the question is the one that's provided above the one that we need to upload.dc.gov? And the answer to that is yes, you're welcome to use that template. It's provided to you through GoToWebinar right now, and it's also available on that website. And I'll show you that website URL. The URL is unfortunately a little bit long, so I don't have it memorized. Let's see. And I'll also be sharing a recording of this webinar as well as the file for this webinar, the slide deck. So at the bottom of this page, you can see where the upload templates are found. Okay, looking for other questions. Okay, next question is about for high schools. This is a good question. Is the assessment only for students in health, or do we need to include students in PE as well? So the guideline for that is students who are enrolled in a health class. Sometimes health is a part of PE, and if that's the case, then those students should be taking the assessment. But if those classes are separate, we just need health and not PE class. So again, students enrolled in health, sometimes that is kind of bunched in with PE, in which case those students do need to take the assessment. So it's health. Okay, it seems like there may not be any more questions. We'll give it another 30 seconds and probably leave you on this page here. Again, send a note to ossi.schoolhealth if you need to get that email and didn't, or have any other questions. Starting Tuesday, if you don't already have access to the upload site, the secure upload site, you should receive that. And then if you don't, make sure to email me at ossi.schoolhealth. And I'll take you one last time to the slide here for additional support. Again, for the call center, use call center if you need help accessing Survey Gizmo, assistance with uploading or adding new people to the upload site, or assistance with Click. And one last chance for questions. Okay, thank you all for attending, and do be in touch, and I'm happy to answer questions and provide guidance as we move forward. And thank you again. Have a good weekend.